my sins have overtaken me.
Welcome to another chapter in the Songwriter's Notebook. We're here with some good friends, Rebecca Padula and Clare Innes, and we're going to be doing a special show today about jamming. And Clare has been doing that for quite a while now. You've been doing different types of programs. You know, where have you been doing these programs?
Well, mainly I've been teaching a How to Play Well with Others class at the high school in Heinsberg, an adult access class. And it's been a lot of fun to just get people comfortable with playing with each other and playing in front of each other and leading a song, because it's different when you're just sitting in your house at the kitchen table playing, but then there's a whole different aspect that takes over when you're playing with or in front of other people. So I've been teaching that class. I'm getting together an opportunity to create a ukulele jam, a big ukulele-centric jam. Other instruments will be invited at a local pub that I'm trying to set up, so that it's just a really fun, casual jam atmosphere.
So let's roll back the camera just for a few minutes and let's find out about Clare. We've had Rebecca's been on the show for a couple of times, so a lot of us know about Rebecca, and but we don't know anything about Clare. And so I'd like to just take a few minutes for our viewers to learn about your life. So how did you get involved with music?
Well, I've always loved music and just very casually had brushes with music. And in college, my family didn't really play music. We listened to a lot of music, but we never really played music. And in college, I was at a party, and a bluegrass tune came on the radio. And a guy just picked up his banjo and just started playing right along with the radio. And it astonished me, because I thought you had to be a professional to play that well. And so just the whole concept of people actually just playing music was really new to me. So I went out the next day and I rented a banjo, and I got a book about how to play, and really just taught myself a few chords and picking, but I never really got very far with it. I'd let it go, and then I'd get back to it and come up to the same level and then let it go. And then 6 years ago, I went to Hawaii, and I said, of course, I'm going to come back with a ukulele. Came back with a ukulele and just started, the internet has been a great resource in helping me learn how to play, as well as connecting with other ukuleleans. And I learned of a group that gets together in Bristol, Vermont, about 20 minutes down the road. They get together twice a month and play. It's like an adult play date with ukuleles. And it's a lot of fun. In fact, that's where I met you. And I just went there with 2 chords. I knew how to do a C and a G, and they played songs that had those, but also all these other chords that required all 4 fingers on all 4 strings. And so they would start playing a tune, and I'd wait for my C to come around, and I'd play my C, and then wait for my G to come around and play that. And over time, I picked up more and more chords and just more abilities, more strumming abilities, and how to feel and sense a song. So that's how I started playing the ukulele.
Well, I think the thing that anyone who knows you, Clare, gets that feeling of the passion that you have for music, and not just for playing music, but for getting other people to play music. And that's the thing that you notice right off the bat. Now, I know that Rebecca, what was your opinion of Clare when you first met her?
I didn't know
You're
what to
on
think.
Camera, so there's going to be a record of this.
Well, because I was, really in the singer-songwriter vein, and I jammed a little bit at parties at your place, but it's like the singer-songwriter thing is a whole different mindset from jamming. And she was just so into this jamming idea, and it was like, you know, I was really into like getting gigs and being serious, and it was like this whole idea of just playing for fun, and it's really fun.
And you guys, you know, you have a wonderful friendship. You're partners in life now, and it's really great that you get a chance to really share your music together. And that's why, folks, we wanted to have them on the show, and to let you hear, you know, because they do have a group. You call yourselves, what's the name?
Leadfoot Louise.
Leadfoot Louise. And so they go out and they play it at different places, and I thought this was really cool. And they have an interesting sound when they're playing together. And what I'd like to do is have you guys play a song together, one of the songs that you play, and then we're going to talk a little bit about this idea of jamming and what makes a good jam. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Do you want to do? Let's do Mason Jar.
Okay.
So this is a song that I wrote with Donna Thunder and Chris Martin, and it's kind of a. Are you going to play it on that?
Well, I could play it. Oh, you want me to play it on the dobro?
You can play it on whatever you want.
All right, I'll play it on the dobro.
We're still playing with arrangements.
Well, I mean, this is
so
a new. Why don't you just?
There's, you know, it's a process of, you know, working out songs and playing them on different instruments, since we both play different instruments. And sometimes we're playing something and it's like I'll be playing the banjo uke and she'll be playing the dobro, and it's like, oh, that's just too twangy. And so, you know, we can switch around and see what we like. But I think
this is a special
as I
dobro
recall,
too.
this is our current favorite setup.
All right, go ahead.
For this one. This is a special dobro that belonged to a friend of ours, Gabe Bass from Heinsberg, who's also really good friends with Dan Wyman, who is the other part of our trio, Leadfoot Louise. He's a fiddle Dan Wyman. He's a fiddler mostly, but he plays mandolin and guitar also.
Yeah, this is.
So yeah, Gabe's kind of unofficial member of that band.
Yeah, Cruise dobro.
Go ahead.
All right.
All right. Way down yonder in the shady rail, I'm gonna cook and drink my fill, because it looks like water, tastes like sand, doesn't smell like anything. Mason jar, my old friend, we're gonna make some bluegrass gin. Tip you over, then I'll pour you down, then we're headed out on the town. Well, we'll pour some black molasses in, light a candle in that time and ten, 'cause that puts folding money in my hand easier than telling the land. Mason jar, my old friend, we're gonna make some bluegrass gin. I'll tip you over, then I'll pour you down, then we're headed out on the town. 'cause this is where the bad guys win. And everybody loves my bluegrass jam. Mason Jar, my old friend, we're gonna make some bluegrass jam. Tip you over, then I'll pour you down, then we're headed out on the town.
All right. All right. And, Claire, she just picked up this instrument not too long ago. And now she's like totally focused on playing the dobro.
Completely
and
obsessed.
This dobro, this is the first dobro that we've had on the Songwriter's Notebook that I can remember. And so it's really an interesting instrument for the viewers back home because they notice, first of all, you're playing it on your lap.
Yep. That's one way. You stand up and just play it like that, and it's called a square neck, and the strings are really high so that they can create this sort of fretless kind of sound. And I started playing this in mid-August, and it was my banjo picking that actually gave me a little bit of a leg up because there's a lot of finger picking. So pinches and finger picks. So the banjo work that I did really paid off for this. And I was heading out for a week-long vacation down to help my parents move. And I couldn't stand the thought of being away from my dobro. So I ended up getting a small electric dobro and some headphones so I could quietly play while I was away for the week. It just fit in the overhead compartment of the airplane. So I've got dobro fever. I've got it bad.
Well, I think that's one of the things that most of us it's all about the music, and that's what you were talking about, Rebecca, was the fact that when you were doing the more singer-songwriter kind of singing your songs, it was a lot about you, and when you changed over, when you started jamming, you realized that it was a different kind of feeling. I don't know if you can really put that into words, but it really is something that when we all started, back when, back in the dinosaur age when I was a kid, it was all about the music. It was not about thinking that this would be a career. That was maybe if you were really lucky and all of that kind of thing that could happen. But that was not it. We played because we loved the music. And that's what a jam session is, folks. Let's talk a little bit about this idea of these kinds of informal jams. And Claire, since you've been doing these kinds of workshops, let's let the people know. Let's say that there's somebody at home right now and they're looking at you and they're saying, boy, that sounds like fun. I'd like to have a jam at my house. What would they do?
Well, let's see. The first thing you do is get a collection of friends who play the kind of music that you like to play. It can veer outside the edges of what you like, definitely, but when you come together, it helps to be able to have the same kind of vibe with everybody. I mean, when I first started learning how to play the ukulele, I just went around saying to everybody I knew, as I was, I had my 2 chords with me, and I just was burning with, I want to learn how to play with other people. And that's the heart of a jam. It's a conversation you're having with other people, and you're trading thoughts back and forth through your instruments. And so finally, at the little jam or the get-together in Bristol, finally somebody came up about a year and a half into my ukulele tenure and said, there's a jam happening this Saturday and you have to be there. So I cleared my calendar and I show up, and there's just probably 75 people at this jam, and they're all just playing. They'd say, okay, we're going to play Walking Cane, and then they would all launch into it because they all kind of knew it. Or it was a tune that was really easily followable, and that's number 2. When you come to a jam, bring a tune that you don't have to spend a lot of time going, okay, it goes to E minor, then F flat, and blah, blah. It's you want to be able to just have it flow. So a lot of the tunes at this jam that I went to, they all knew, or it was very easily, you could just climb right on it. And the other thing, if you're playing a ukulele, it's really hard to read the chords somebody's playing off the neck of a ukulele because it's so compact. It's hard to tell what the fingers are doing. So there's always a guitar. So learn to recognize guitar chords. And then if you don't know the tune, I went there not knowing anything, but I knew G, C, and D on the guitar. In bluegrass and country, that's like 90% of the tunes right there. I could follow along by poaching chords off the guitar player.
Can you give a little example of that with you guys just doing something so people can get an idea of, like, so let's pretend that we're at this jam and Rebecca's going to play something that you don't know what she's going to play.
All right, so
okay.
So it's got to be something I can play on this. Remember?
And all of a sudden, so they get together, and Rebecca's just going to call out the name. The first thing she's going to do is call out the name, and if she's nice, if she's being nice.
All right, I'm going to get my ukulele for this,
yeah.
just because it's bring an instrument that they're really comfortable with. And I'm at this point more comfortable with the ukulele. I've been playing that obsessively a lot longer than I've been playing this obsessively. So
the first thing that Rebecca's going to do is she's going to say that she's going to play a song.
So if I'm going to play Swing Low, Sweet Chariot in G, now a lot of times I would play that with bar chords, but in a bluegrass session, people are looking to me to play the first position chords that they can easily recognize. So I'll play it in those positions.
Now, do you notice that Rebecca said that she's going to play Swing Low, Sweet Chariot in G? Soon as I heard that in
knows
G,
he needs to retune.
I know that because the 5-string banjo is tuned in G, and mainly the way that we play it is we move around the capo, so we're either playing out of G position or C position. So as soon as I heard that, immediately I went into, oh, I'm going to have to tune. This is important in a jam if you're a banjo player, because you have to hope that they're going to stay in G for a while. Because if they move to another key, you're going to have to retune. And so that's a part of the jam. So you have to think about that. If you're a banjo player, you have to think a little bit differently, and you have to sit so that you can see her fingers.
Yep. I learned how to recognize chords from the back as well, because you can't always see the guitar player's fingers, but you might be behind somebody, and so I can, once we start playing, I can tell, okay, when the hand goes like that, that's a C. When the hand goes like that, that's a G. So you can learn different ways of seeing what's going on. And also knowing that the banjo is open G. If I can't see the guitar player, I know there are going to be 3 chords I've got to look for. So I know that if Rik doesn't have any fingers on the fretboard, that's going to be G. So I'm going with the G. So.
Right. And if I'm really good, I'll tell you that the song is just G, C, and D. And so then you've got a 1 in 3 shot at guessing it anyway.
Now, one of the other things that we're going to talk about nice, being nice and polite in jams. So if Rebecca's being nice, she's not going to play the song at the fastest tempo that she possibly can, right?
Probably.
Right. So, but you actually will warn people about, I'm going to play this.
Or I'm going to say, I'm going to play this super fast.
Super fast. And then
that
everybody
can be
has
really
to go along.
fun as well, you know.
Once people are warmed up.
Yeah.
So that's part of the jam etiquette. This is what we're talking about, folks, is the jam etiquette. So if we're in the jam and let's pretend that there's even more people here. There's a big circle. And, it just came to Rebecca's turn, and she just announced that we're going to play Swing Low, Sweet Chariot in the key of G. And this is how it's going to go.
All right. So, 2, 3. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Well, I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. What a band of angels coming after me, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home.
was a lot of things that were going on. First thing is Rebecca is the lead. So she's playing and she's singing. So as the banjo player, I don't have to play a lead while she's singing, do I? In fact, I don't have to play really much at all, just trying to keep quiet, maybe just vamping or just kind of strumming very lightly on the chord so that her vocals can be heard. And only when she asks me to do something, you take it, then all of a sudden, then I have permission to try and do something. What happens, Claire, when you're at a jam and somebody's singing something and the other people aren't paying attention to that rule?
Well, I would call it a guideline more than a rule. I mean, it's really just, it's a conversation. And if you start talking over other people, your idea can't get out, and you feel like, well, people aren't really listening to me. So you consider it a conversation. So I wouldn't want people to be intimidated into thinking, oh my God, there are rules and things, but it's really just consideration. Just as any time you're conversing with someone else, you're listening, you're not talking over them, and you're supporting them. Like when somebody is leading, you're basically their house band. The whole jam group is the house band, except for whoever's leading it, and other people can join in and sing. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is you're playing together, you're singing together, but you are trying to make sure that they're the ones who are shining. So if you just treat it as just a good, considerate, and really fun and raucous conversation, I find that that's what helps.
I remember being at the Bluebird Cafe, and some really great musicians were in there, and they were going over some songs that they didn't really work on before. And it was interesting to watch them, because I'm talking about really, really well-known kind of country musicians, and you'd expect them to just go. They didn't. They were doing that crucial part of listening. Okay? So the first time, it's okay, like Rebecca starts the song, and you don't have to necessarily try to jump in on that first note in a jam, because you don't know where she's going as far as the rhythm. So it's okay for you to let her sing a little bit, then come in slowly. Don't you think that seems to me like the thing that I've watched is that they really have to, I was expecting these people to really just hit it, you know what I mean? Because they were all well-known musicians and stuff, but they didn't. They all held back. They let that person sing the song almost completely one verse before then they started working on what they were going to contribute. And I think that's what's interesting, what Clare is saying. It is a conversation. And just like in any conversation, there are people who talk a lot, and then there's some people who don't talk that much. But everything is valid, You don't have to say everything that you know all the time. Sometimes that conversation can be short. You can just have a few notes that you want to add that time. And then maybe a little bit more. And you're looking around like, so if you...
Right, so there's no bass with us right now.
Right.
So I'm playing more like bass stuff. So listening for where the spaces are and what I can add.
And the eye contact is really important, because the person who's leading it, they're leading it. So if they're leading it and all of a sudden they look at you, they don't even have to say, you take it.
Right. If so, I'd be looking around to see who might be a soloist, who might want a solo, who has figured out the chord pattern and is ready.
Yeah.
And they'd be looking at me.
And sometimes, and it's okay, folks, to say,
yeah, sometimes you get waved off. Like,
I do that a lot.
Yeah, it's like, no, I don't want to go there yet. I don't feel comfortable enough. And it's better for you to say that I'm not comfortable enough, and to know that, than for you to try to stumble into somebody and what we call do a train wreck. Now, these things happen at jams, and that's okay too, because that's informal. We're making informal music. We're not talking about a jam is not necessarily something that you find on stage, but you can also find it on stage.
Yep.
You know, with really talented musicians. But in the most part, what we're talking about is this informal sessions. There's another really important thing that Rebecca did right near the end.
Ah, the foot.
The foot. You want to talk about the foot?
So when it's the end, you raise your foot so people can know that we are wrapping it up. So this is the end.
So that
That's
gives
the
you
signal.
I think that gives you a good head start about, you know, some of these kind of and we refer to it as jam etiquette. Now, Claire, you might have a few more that I haven't thought of.
Really, it's, you know, when you, there are lots of ways to be at a jam, but it really does boil down to, will this blend? Will this mesh? Am I aware of what's going on? And if I have a song it's more than just those 3 chords, I might say, you know, the funny chord that you hear, that's going to be the E minor. And as a ukulele player, most of the time there aren't many ukulele players at the jam. And so I might say, so this is what the E minor looks like. So when I go to that, you'll know. Just to give people a heads up about what surprises might be coming.
Now, I have a special request. They do this wonderful gypsy song.
Oh boy.
That is a fantastic song, and we're speaking about minors. And I'd really, if you guys want to jump and take that risk, we got 5 minutes.
All right. We haven't played it in a while, but we'll try. I'll just do a couple of the verses.
And just shout out to the writer.
Let's see. It starts D minor, G minor, A7. Oops. I could cry myself till I'm dry. I could beat myself till I'm blue. But I know I never will find the answer that rings itself true. Tell me, where does the sunlight go when it falls away to the west? And what does a poor man do when a rich man takes all his best? Well, I could cry myself till I'm dry. I could beat myself till I'm blue. And I know I never will find the answer that rings itself true. Becca. Well, I could cry myself till I'm dry. I could beat myself till I'm blue. I know I never will find the answer that rings itself true.
Beautiful, beautiful.
That's by Jake Wildwood down in Rochester, Vermont.